We've got a really fantastic Unearthed Arcana. Tell me about the Psion. Why are people always so excited for this type of, psychic magic?
This is the class that unlocks the full potential of their mind and is able to unleash all sorts of incredible effects, telepathy, telekinesis, but also far, far, far beyond that. This whole Unearthed Arcana just goes so far down the rabbit hole on what that fantasy is and how it feels every part as rich and exciting and heroic as a wizard, as a warlock, as a cleric, all of those things.
We have 4 full subclasses, a host of mechanics that go through the class as a whole, as well as some spells and some wild talent feats for people who want to dabble in psionic powers, but not want to go whole hog into the class.
Yeah.
So this is a really, really big UA article that we've been able to put together.
For those that do not know, what are psionics?
It's magic that's from the mind, right? They can cast a spell without the verbal or material components, with some caveats, obviously. When you do that, especially with the material part, you're essentially removing the spell casting focus. You don't need a rod, you don't need a wand. This lets the Psion basically use their brain as the focus.
To be clear, psionics are actually already present in 5th edition.
100%.
We actually have a couple of very fun, wonderful psionic classes in the 2024 Player's Handbook. We have the Psi Warrior, we've got the Soul Knife, we've got Aberrant Sorcery. And so this UA is not necessarily introducing something new, it's building on kind of this foundation that we've set for ourselves in the Player's Handbook, in the revised rules. The core mechanic of the Psion is the psionic dice mechanic. And this is something we've seen in both the Soul Knife and in the Psi Warrior. They give you either access to these bite-sized new psionic abilities, or they give you ways to creatively, psychically enhance what you already can do. And so we took kind of that principle and made that the foundational principle for this entire class.
In the base Psion
Yes.
class, we have subclasses.
Yes.
One of the first ones we have is the metamorph.
Yes.
Tell me about the metamorph. What is the flavor that's being captured here?
It's the mind over matter class. It is the idea that your mind is so powerful, that your psionic ability is so powerful that you can reshape flesh itself. That it is the ability to look at someone and telekinetically make their heart start beating again. Stuff like that. That is kind of the vibe that we're going for with the metamorph. It is the subclass that can morph and stretch their own limbs because their mind supersedes the limits and reality of their body.
And one of those things they can do is briefly transform their limbs into organic weapons. They can spring a blade from their forearm made of bone. They can clump and harden their flesh into a maul.
The next subclass we have is the Psi Warper, which I love. It's
Yes.
a teleporter. You
Yes.
are really controlling the battlefield.
Yes.
Really changing
Yeah.
space.
Being so psionically powerful and so mentally powerful that you can just change reality and change where things are positioned. It's like the chess master of the Psion subclasses. A lot of the abilities here focus on repositioning not only yourself, but your allies, and drawing power from being able to psychically warp space in that way.
Telekinetically pushing or pulling a creature has a lot of flexibility because a creature, as we say in the rules in 2024, can willingly fail a save. So you can pull your buddy out of danger. You can push your barbarian further ahead to get closer to the monster. You can, as the Psi Warper, you can teleport that creature somewhere horizontal to you. And if there's a pit or a dip in the floor,
Yeah.
well, you can just teleport them over that.
Yeah.
So the Psi Warper is definitely going to be a subclass that rewards creative thinking.
So we have the psykinetic, which is
Yes.
a beefy damage dealer.
Yes, this is our damage dealer, but they're also a little bit of our force fielder. The archetype here for the psykinetic is the force field
Yeah.
person. It's the person who creates these force constructs that block things or blasts people away or moves people through force rather than like this sort of warping of space.
The goal with the psykinetic was to feel very offensive oriented in your abilities. And to emphasize that, you have an enhanced attack mode. Defense mode will come up, but also you're more incentivized to lean into that archetype of destructive telekinetic energy.
The final subclass in here is the telepath.
The telepath is, along with the psykinetic, the quintessential psion, right? They have an expanded telepathy. They can talk to multiple creatures simultaneously through that.
Love utility for the party.
Yeah.
And also an empowered defense mode.
Yes. So the psykinetic is I am very strong on the offense.
Yeah.
The telepath is I'm very strong on the defense. And I can even expand that benefit to my party, to creatures in range of my telepathy.
And then we have all these wild talents.
Yes.
Which you worked on extensively. What is the purpose of these wild talents?
So wild talent feats are basically meant to be, hey, you want a taste of psionics, but you don't want to play a full psion or a full psionic subclass? Here you go.
Or you can just double down on everything.
Or you can double down and get really specific in how your psionics manifest. I think of the very classic archetype we have of the fire starter, the person who can just mentally start fires. And that was something that I personally loved, and I don't know what that says about me, but being able to sort of just like start those fires with your mind was such a cool sort of character trope and visual that we really wanted to bring, but it didn't quite fit in our subclass modeling. And so what we did was we took that sort of that trope and we made it into a feat that really anyone can take. So anyone can be a psionic arsonist. You can be a psionic arsonist. And it basically, looking at the pyrokinesis feat, which is our fire starter feat, it gives you the ability to just mentally change damage type into fire damage. So if you are playing as a psion and you want to really lean really hard into that fire starter archetype, you get a bunch of spells that deal psychic damage natively. With the pyrokinesis feat, you can change that psychic damage into fire damage and really lean heavy into that archetype. You also get a bunch of spells that also lean into the pyrokinetic archetype and that help you cast and do even more fiery damage. And that's just one of many.
One of many. Like some of these talents are like kind of trickster wild talents where you can add your intelligence modifier to persuasion or deception check, but then you also can disguise self.
Yep.
And so that's what I love about all these wild talents is you can have a little bit of psionic in you, or you can really sculpt the character in a very modular way. Because it could be ice powers, it could be lightning, it could be a little bit more of the body morphing stuff. There's a ton of these that kind of covers like everything you could wish for.
We have ones that are almost like grandchildren of the Psion subclasses. So if you want a taste of like the metamorph, but not in a going full Psion, you can have, there's little wild talents that give you a little bit of taste of that sort of psionic life manipulation or the flesh manipulation. If you want a little bit of that sort of telekinetic power that you get in the psykinetic, but you don't want to do the full subclass, we have the psykineticist wild talent feat for you to try out.
I know everyone's going to be extremely excited for this Unearthed Arcana. I know I am. As always, the best way that you can provide feedback, we always appreciate, YouTube comments and comments on the forums and social media, but the best way to leave your feedback is test the playtest material and then leave your feedback in the survey, and that way we can adapt.